lastly, let's just do a case study on Journey. How Journey answered these 4 questions. So this is the guy that invented Journey, Herbie Herbert, one of my heroes. He's the guy that assembled Journey and is brilliant. So here's Journey. Started out as a Santana jam band, early 70s. And so let's take a run around the bases and think about how Journey answered these 4 questions. What they eliminated, what they raised, what they reduced, and what they created. So what did they eliminate? Don Dimitri, are you a Journey fan? Or that might be after your time.
Journey. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I love Journey. I love Journey, but my knowledge of catalog isn't really, that deep to be able to have a say. I'm afraid. I'm more I'm more sort of 80s, 90s forwards. I think the Journey is a little bit before 80s. Is it like 70s? Isn't it? Yeah.
They started. Early 70s. All right. So, which factors did Journey eliminate? So, at the time, the Grateful Dead were huge. Santana was huge. It was all about 20-minute songs and 6-minute solos. And Journey was born into that world, right? Herbie Herbert was the road manager for Santana. They were part of this universe, right? So these 4 questions helped Journey become part of the future instead of part of history. They could have easily just stayed back here and been a jam band that nobody's talking about today. But they made some very key decisions that gave them a 50-year career that they're celebrating this year. With our friends from Toto as well. So if they're in your neck of the woods, go check them out. There's a lot to learn there. All right. So what did they eliminate? Journey eliminated the jam band 14-minute songs that were popular, right? They just, at some point, they'd made a decision, again, whether intuitively or consciously in a management meeting, they said, you know what, we are going to zig and zag here. We're not going to be Grateful Dead copycat number 12. What did they reduce? And again, this is hindsight. We're able to look back and really reduce this down and simplify it for the sake of, their hindsight is really becoming our foresight. It's obviously for them, it was probably much more complex than this, but we're going to use them as an example. So what did they reduce? So at the time, Hammond B3 was huge. Carlos Santana, Black Magic Woman. It was the thing, right? And Greg Rowley was a great B3 player, but they got rid of Greg Rowley and brought in Jonathan Cain. So they reduced that component of it. Which factors did they raise? They raised their vocal bar. They brought in this drummer named Steve Perry, who changed history for vocalists. Which factors did they create? So Journey was responsible for really distilling down to a 3-minute pop song approach, a fan-first approach as we describe it. The band was primarily focused on how the fan would be able to see their own story in their music. Fan-first strategy centered on the audience, told the fan story, gives fans songs that the fans could step into. The band was on stage to support the fans' experience. So another thing they kind of created was digestibility. Journey frontman Steve Perry and Jonathan Cain focused on songs that were shorter in length. So again, the 3.5-minute pop songs, and people hated them for this, but all the people that hated them are broke, right? So, they kind of won. So the combination of these things, they eliminated the jam band approach. They reduced the emphasis on the B3 by bringing in the piano and synths. They raised the vocal bar with Steve Perry, and they created what we call a fan-first approach.
Just for those who might not understand it fully, what does the B3 stand for?
B3 is the organ, Hammond organ. B3.
Hammond organ.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that help Journey become part of the future instead of part of history. They could have easily just dug their heels in and said, I'm going to be a jam band and that's what I'm going to be. And, you know, I hate change and I am who I am kind of thing. But they made some strategic decisions by answering these 4 questions of the ERC framework. So those are a few of the ways that Journey kind of created a future for themselves. So that's what I have for us today. And that's really about becoming an original, creative differentiation for artists by answering the 4 questions within the ERC framework.
I think it's been a really useful overview, you know, and obviously it's super important to find ways for yourself to stand out. Otherwise, you'll just get lost in the mob and get lost in the 100,000 of songs released on streaming services every single day.
Yeah,
you know, I remember I was talking about this 2 years ago, but I feel that now it's even more important because I can't remember the exact numbers, but I go to a lot of like music industry conferences and whatnot, and I remember that early last year, I think the number was still like 80,000 or something like this, or even below that. 80,000 new songs dropped every day. You know, it's 100,000 now. You know, it's probably going to be 200,000 this time next year. So if you don't find ways to have USPs to differentiate yourself from the others, you know, you might be a great artist, you might have great songs, but you will just get lost, you know, and in the noise everywhere.
Yeah, I think of it. A good friend of mine said music was going free about 10 years ago, and I was like, "What is he talking about? You know, why is he saying that?" And he was really right. Music is becoming a souvenir. I mean, people still pay for music. You know, we sell products every day for artists that want that souvenir. But it's not enough anymore. I mean, your music has to be great. It should be great. Yeah. You don't want it to suck, obviously, but it's no longer sufficient. So the way we think about it is we're a fan first company that stages experiences. We're a artist experience company. How do we build experiences that fans will pay for? Some of it's music, but some of it's subscriptions, some of it's, you know, live face-to-face stuff. So that's where we spend most of our time, is just thinking about experiences. It's like Cirque du Soleil. It's like we could go to that, what was Barnum and Bailey circus that went out of business a couple of years, and it's a crappy $4 circus, and it's like, don't want it, right?
Yeah.
But I'd rather pay $200 to go to experience Cirque du Soleil. I mean, you walk in there. I was fortunate to spend some time at their compound in Montreal, and you walk in there and you're like, I feel like I walked into Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's like, what is who are these nut jobs? It was like, it's a total experience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll pay for that. I'll take the $50 whatever, you know?
Yeah. And I feel those artists who understand that it's about that these days is about so much more than just music will be the ones who succeed. You know, those who will get left behind, sadly, and who will keep on facing issues are those who will try to hold on to outdated business models.
Isn't it strange how the world distorts our shape? Funny how you seem to feel better once again you turn away. Don't be afraid to let me wake you up. You never get the things you want to, confound by bitter try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me Mysterious sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life. Hey, let my words infuse your mind. Ignite a magical flame, but once again you break your gaze. Don't be afraid to let me burn you up. You never get the things you want, you can find by fear to try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life.
I ain't scared of nothing but failure. Listen here, let me tell you, I'm on the red eye from Egypt tonight. We got so much against us, but it still feels right. You so electric, boo, you turn me on like a light. Our body chemistry won't allow us to fight. The adrenaline rush seems to give me wings, and it's not about sex. I love hearing you sing. Those jewels are superficial, baby. You my bling.
You never get the things you want, you can find my feet. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life.